We just had a conversation focusing on the healthcare system and healthcare industry on PASS 2090. What is PASS 2090? Can you explain that to me, Sandrine?
So PASS is a framework in order to assess the environmental footprint of the pharma products. Every product has an impact on the environment, an impact on the climate, CO2, an impact on water, an impact on waste. But if we want to improve, we need to measure. And to measure, we need to assess the same way how these impacts are coming. And so the PASS is a standard, international standard for everyone, established by public and private coalition in order to define how we can collectively assess with the same way, with the same data, the environmental impact of pharma products.
The objective is that it creates incentives and signals to change things within a particular company, as well as beyond at the industry level. So if you take the example of Roche, for instance, what are the levels internally that you hope this will activate in terms of transformation?
That common language is super important, not just across the industry, but also internally. So the fact that we now have a common language really is focusing our minds. So it really will help us to identify the hotspots. And that's important for our drugs discovery and development process. So by really understanding for certain categories, for individual products, where we need to focus our attention, that will change the way we develop but also deliver the drugs on the market.
And does that mean also that then across competitors will work together on this, right?
Yeah, so Barend spoke about the hotspots. We have identified common hotspots, and so we work collectively on those hotspots in order to accelerate the transition to a greener product.
Yeah, and I think it's important, if I may add to Sandrine,
sure.
We don't want to compete on standards.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Right?
So for this to work, then we need the standards to be adopted, implemented, and used beyond ticking the box. Can you share with us, please, how that happened and what stands in the way of having a worldwide adoption of such a standard?
It's going to be really important to advance change. The NHS in the UK, our National Health Service, set itself a problem because it announced that it was going to measure the carbon impact of all products by 2028. And now the challenge for them and other healthcare systems is to think through how do they use that information to make wise decisions. And through their roadmap and their work with suppliers, they are trying to work out at the moment how best to do that, how they prioritize it, how they have those conversations. But as you suggest, we can't do that just as individual healthcare systems, much as we might want the world to be that simple. We need to work at a global level. So there is not only those national conversations happening, trying to solve problems and working together with their supply chain, but there's also those global ones. So we can make this work, but it's going to need a lot of collaboration and a lot of practical sharing of why things are getting in the way.
Right now, the focus at the beginning is on carbon, right? But the ambition is also to scale in depth in terms of what is the nature of the impact that is covered. What's on the agenda to move beyond carbon?
Yeah, by Fiona, countries are starting to ask questions about the carbon footprint of products. But the PASS is not just focusing on carbon, it's also focusing on other environmental criteria. Yes, and so water, biodiversity, waste, and some others. And so it's important to make all of stakeholders and healthcare system that we should not focus on climate and carbon. Indeed, there is an urgency, but so we could make the wrong choices in terms of design of products in R&D and in manufacturing, because by improving the climate footprint of the product, we could harm the waste footprint of the water footprint. So we need to have an holistic approach.
When we talk about scaling, it's going to be across jurisdictions. How are we going to do that?
Well, I think part of it starts with how we think about value in healthcare. Our National Institute for Health and Clinical Excellence in the UK has actually worked with the public to have a structured conversation around what choices would they want to make. Everybody wants to have the best health outcomes. They want innovative medicines.
Yes.
But they also care about their environmental impact. And so for me, the exciting thing about being able to measure that is that we can really begin to understand when we want to make those choices, when we want to incur that environmental cost so that health doesn't have to cost the earth.
The PASS was just adopted last December, right? So it's all fresh out of the box. So what are you the most excited about in terms of next steps in 2026?
In addition to working with suppliers, for me, the most exciting part is having the conversation with those individual health systems. There will be nuances, right? Health systems are quite different from country to country. But what we see in the countries that there's a huge interest in this discussion to bringing these different capitals together, right, in practical terms. So I'm very excited to have an increasing number of discussions, because ultimately it's about making these trade-offs and informed decisions.
I agree, but I think that also, thanks to this path, we can create a new culture, a new mindset within the company or academics to innovate. Because it's about eco-design is a super powerful tool in order to change and to have disruptions in terms of innovation and technology for either the design of the product, the manufacturing of the product, or the product itself, and the way we deliver the products.
Last word.
I'm really excited about how we use the standard to understand a little bit more about the role that products and services play within the context of healthcare delivery. So we need to really understand that care pathway and its impact alongside the standard that we developed.
Okay, thank you.